everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Youngfyre podcast, live from the Spreaker studio. My name is Bobby Burke. I'm a motivational speaker for schools, and I'm here to help you live your best life today. Thanks, baby boy. Maybe we can sit down and talk. And I'll be honest, when I read that, I remember stopping what I was doing because I was walking somewhere and a bunch of my buddies were with me and they just looked back because I was laughing so hard my face was red seconds prior to reading that. And they looked back, they're like, "Hey, Bobby, what's going on?" I said, "Guys, nothing. Don't worry about it. Nothing. It's fine." And they're like,
so
yo, what's up?
He responded with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
After all these years, now he wants to meet up and, whatever. And I said, all right. I was walking to dinner with my buddies and we all got our food and we sat down. I said, all right, for all of you that know my story, this is going to be kind of big. For all of you that don't, and I gave him a quick synopsis. For everyone that hasn't caught up on my old podcast or that, is wondering why this is going to be such a heavy moment. Long story short, my dad beat my mom up while I was still inside of her. her and I left. He walked out the door and was gone. My mom dealt with a drug problem when I was younger, abandoned me for a week. I called my grandfather because I hadn't eaten anything except for one Little Debbie's donut hole and a half gallon of water. My grandmother got emergency custody of me, took me in, and that moment changed my entire life because my view on life was not this lovely, shiny picture that everyone thinks kids have. It was more of a life can get pretty rough at times, so get ready for it. It's a reality. Anyway, back to the point. Now this guy wants to reach out to me. And I just didn't know what to do. I was like, wait, what do y'all, like, to my buddies while we were sitting down at dinner, I said, well, my dad got a hold of me. And I swear to God, the entire group that I was with, just everyone's jaw dropped at the exact moment. They're like, whoa, what? And I said, yeah, I said I'm joining the military and I need some information. And he got it to me and said, hey, I'd like to meet up. What do I do? And
man,
I said at one point, I said, yeah, maybe after I get out of basic training, let's meet up. Because as of right now, I know that you're a veteran that left your family. And for me, that picture doesn't sound too right. So how about I get a glimpse into your world and then we'll talk. Wow. So you're actually the first person to hear this, and you listening audience as well. I'm actually planning next time I go back to Ohio to, give him a call and be like, hey, let's get coffee, you and I. Let's just sit down and talk for a little bit. Because I'm curious. I want to, all that anger that I held, it sucked. Yeah, it was awful, but I don't want that anymore. You know what I mean? I'm over it. I'm not angry at him anymore for what he did. It's not it's not something I care about. I want to hear why. That's what I'm interested in.
So I have this straight, and the listening audience, when you responded to him, you guys didn't get to meet up after you did basic training, so you're still waiting to meet face to face.
Yeah.
Wow. And so with the next time you go through where he is he still open to meet with you and sit down for coffee or something?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I sent him a message on his birthday and just said, hey, happy birthday. I haven't forgot about what you said. Let's meet up at some point. I'm still down. I have a litany of questions for you that I want to hear from your side, because I know my mom's side of the family. I want to know yours. I want to understand more about my heritage. I want to understand just where your mindset was at. I mean, granted, this was almost 30 years ago at this point, but I want to hear why what happened, and not the standard I don't know. You do know.
Right. That kills me. Like,
yeah,
with anybody, especially fathers, like, there is a why. You know what the why is. It's just, can you articulate it? Do you want to articulate it? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Don't, like, the with me, the biggest thing that irks me is when a person says, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, you do know. Like, yes, you do know.
And Sean, I'm sure you can attest to this as well. When you're when you're talking to kids, or you're working with business deals, or you're working with people to get, speaking contracts going, I don't know is not an acceptable answer.
No.
Like, I have legitimately lost speaking contracts because I've said, I don't know. And it was a simple question. They said, do you want music on before you come out? Or do you want to pick the music, or do you want us to pick the music? And I said, I don't know. And I was going to continue. And they said, all right, that's fine. Thank you. And that was it. We were done. And I was like, whoa.
And that's crazy, because when I'm in the schools and I'm talking to the kids, and my thing is, like, I'll ask, like, and they'll tell me their story or whatever that we're talking about in that moment. Like, okay, well, you said, well, it was told to me that you did this. So why'd you do that? Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, like, look, that's not an acceptable answer. Because I'm like, in here, when you say, I don't know, you have teachers and staff members who will give you a little bit of grace and try to figure out and pry and probe why you don't know. Out there, when you get out there, there's a world out there. And I talk about this in my Black in America segment. It's like, when you're out there, when you say, I don't know, that's the perfect reason to get you hemmed up and locked up or get your life taken because you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so stop saying, get yourself out of that pattern of saying, I don't know, because you do know.
And that's the biggest thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So especially for parents, like fathers, like, you're a man. Like, stop saying, I don't know. You know. So now it's like you've had, in your case, it's like you've had almost 30 years to articulate why.
Yeah.
And like, for my father, who's no longer with us, is like, dude, if I could wind back to being 18 again before I turned 19 and before I lost him, it's like wish I would have had the forward thinking capacity to say, why were you not there?
Yeah.
And I would not have accepted, I don't know. And like, I would rather have you be silent and not answer at all than tell me I don't know.
Oh, for sure. For sure, man. Like, that's one of the big things, y'all. Like, it takes a level of courage, and it really is courage to be able to look someone else in the face when they ask you a hard question and answer honestly. I don't know is an excuse. I don't know is a flimsy shield that you put in front of yourself to deflect the question. I'm telling you right now, you give up so much of your own power when you just say, oh, I don't know. Yes, you do. Have the courage to stick up for yourself, for your own beliefs, and answer honestly. It doesn't matter if the other person doesn't like the answer. If you're honest and say, yes, man, just own your feelings, own your ideals. It's not that hard. It sucks at first, but once you get used to it, oh God, your life is going to change instantly.
Yes, it gets easier and easier well, maybe not easier, but it gets more, I guess, more palatable.
Yeah.
To give a reason why instead of like, I don't know. Because my thing is like saying I don't know, it's a cop out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the easiest way to get people not to respect you.
Yes. That's huge.
So with that, having, still like with the jury being out on that actual face-to-face, and crazy thing about it, when that happens, I'm going to bring you back on and we're going to talk about that moment. That face-to-face, that first face-to-face, Lord willing. And my thing is this, with that happening, Bobby, like, did not having your father in your life, did that detract you from desiring to have children?
So funny you bring that up. My wife and I, when we first started dating, we had that, kids talk, and she goes, yeah, kids would be fun. And we started talking about it and said, yeah, let's have 2 kids. That's a good number, which turned into 3, which turned into 4. And the more and more we kept talking, the relationship got more serious. Her and I wound up getting married. And after we got married, we kind of started talking about it again. And she goes, yeah, I don't really want kids at all.
Oh, wow.
And something clicked in my head and I was like, wait, that's an option? What? Wait a minute. So for a minute there, we decided we didn't want kids. Well, now she is super adamant about having children, and I'm kind of on the fence. I think that having kids would be one of the most rewarding and most loving experiences any human being could ever experience. Now, granted, I'm not saying you're always going to like what your kids do, but you are always going to love your kids, right?
Right.
But as of right now, I'm trying to get my life together before having children. My wife and I are in a not severe amount of debt, but it's enough where I look and I go, I don't want to add a kid on top of this stress. So as of right now, we're trying to get our finances in order, and then I have a feeling that we're going to have kids because, I think it'd be so cool to look at every single thing that went wrong growing up, or every single thing, every single moment I didn't feel, fulfilled.
Right.
Not having a father figure in my life. I think it'd be so cool for my kids to look back and go, man, I know for a fact that my dad loved me. Like, there's literally no question. I would never, ever be one of those kids that goes, did my dad really care about me? They're going to be like, nah, you can take my dad. That guy cares too much. You know?
Right, right. And that's
That's
crazy, Bobby, because that's the exact same way I felt
yeah.
before having kids. And I challenged myself to say, you know what? Do it. And when my son came, I was like, this is my opportunity to break the cycle and to create something afresh and to right what was wronged to me, to make it right for someone else connected to me so close. If
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
Oh, that makes perfect sense, man. I completely, you're breaking the wheel.
Right.
You really are.
Right. And I and honestly, and this is not me like, blowing smoke or anything like that, but I think freaking you guys would be phenomenal parents, because Bob, you have like that exuberance and that energy that's just like, yeah, man, my dad's cool as all get out,
That would be the goal. Like,
Right.
I remember when my buddies would come over, they would come over and we would hang out and, it'd be cool, but they'd be like, you know what? I mean, if you weren't here, that's awesome. But your grandmother, dude, she is like the coolest person. Like, guys, for real? Come on.
Right.
It'd be the same thing. It'd be just like that.
Yeah. So man, that's cool, because now I'm like at a point where I'm like anticipating along with you, like, all right, what's this sit down, this face to face going to be like? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Dude, that was going to be dope to find out, and then it will bring so much closure for you.
Oh yeah. Oh
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like that's huge, because not everybody gets to have that closure. Because I wasn't able to have that closure because my father passed away. He was sick. But my thing is like, so there's still like that dangling, pendulum of non-closure, like not having closure. But for you, it will make so many of those dots able to connect.
Oh yeah.
To see the bigger picture of like, okay, now I understand why this, that, or the other, or I understand why I have this characteristic trait about me, because it was due to this or that. And it just seemed like everything will be like come full circle when you're able to have that closure.
Oh, for sure. And it's weird because that was something I'd never really cared about when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And the older I got, the more I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to meet up with him, because it brings that question of, do I really want to open this Pandora's box? Am I really that curious to see, what is really inside? I think that's one of the greatest things about the story of Pandora's box is Zeus gave Pandora all of these gifts and then said, you know what? I'm going to give you curiosity and just wait. Because he knew that Hera was like, oh, here, this is great. Here, have all this. And he goes, I'm going to get you guys back. I'm going to get you back. Just wait. And finally, when Pandora's curiosity got the better of her, she was like, wait, I have to open this. And she did. And of course, then it released all of the horrible things that, have plagued humanity, like greed and sloth and all of this goodness. But it's really like, do I really want to get that interaction with him? Like, is it really going to change my life? But then I have to look and go, like when I heard your story, I'm going, you have this beautiful opportunity to hear the words come out of that person's mouth.
Right.
Why would you pass that up? Why?
Right. Right. And then I'm huge on like making decisions now that your future self will thank you for.
Yes.
Yeah,
completely. Absolutely, man.
I mean, because just imagine real quick, this opportunity is on the table, and let's say, for example's sake, that meeting didn't happen, and he ended up passing away. Like, how would you feel like still not getting that closure? Like, when you had the opportunity on the table, like, how would the Bobby at 38 feel? That, man, like, I had the opportunity, but it didn't. It kind of just goes back to Jamal King saying, he's like, I thank the 30-year-old Jamal for where I am now, for taking for taking the opportunity to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. So to wrap things up, man, for our listeners, for the youth who's listening, what would you leave them with, that young man out there who's facing fatherlessness, who his father may be imprisoned or not in his life, and how to deal? Like what would Bobby B of Storytime give that young man out there?
So, firstly, I want y'all to take a moment to go in your room, shut the door, lock it, and sit down on the floor. Just sit down. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to meditate for like a minute. Just close your eyes and just sit there, and I want you to think about this one question.
Turn your phone off, too.
Yeah, keep your phone off. I need your full attention for 60 seconds, which truthfully I know is a lot, but I need it. I want you to sit down, and I want you to go answer this question. Why do I feel the way I do? And I want you to look at that rabbit hole, yell airborne as loud as you can, and jump. Don't actually yell airborne. Your parents are going to look at you weird. But, for real though, like, I want you guys to take that journey inward. You are allowed to feel however you're feeling. If, growing up in a single family household or single parent household is hard. Your parent is probably super stressed all the time. Money's probably tight, and you're probably wondering where your next step is, and you don't have a map. You're allowed to feel frustrated. You're allowed to feel stressed. You're allowed to be angry. It's okay. If your father walked out on you, guess what? It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You were not the reason. They made a decision, and they have to stick with it. But just because they made the wrong decision, and yes, listen to that, they made the wrong decision, that doesn't mean your life has to change in a bad way, right? You're still a phenomenal person. What you need to do is start believing that. First thing, you need to find an outlet. That's all we need. You need to find an outlet. I don't care if it's art. I don't care if it's music, if it's sports, if it's whatever it is. Find that thing that makes you tick, and I need you to sink your teeth into it and don't let go. For me, it was my music. And then I found mixed martial arts. And recently I found speaking. Through all of this, I finally found like, no, dude, this is what you're supposed to be doing. But you need to find why you feel the way you do and work through it. I know that there's a lot of stigma for younger kids about going to see a therapist, especially for my college students. It used to be seen as really taboo of, oh, you have to go talk to a therapist. Oh, why? What's wrong with you? Now it's like, okay, so bro, guess what my therapist just told me? Here's why I get so freaked out all the time. Like, oh my gosh, you're learning more about you. And that's all we need to do. Again, you're allowed to feel how you're feeling. Learn who you are at a deep level. And I promise you, all of this frustration that has plagued you from living in that single parent household is going to go away. It is, because you're incredible. Your circumstance does not change that. You're incredible, not your circumstance.
Right. Wow. So yep, you heard that. It's about you getting to that place of healing and knowing that if you don't remember anything else, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You don't have to be or become the product of your circumstances. You choose this day who and what you become by simply believing in who you are, following your passion, and knowing that it's not your fault. So you already know. Bobby, take them to the end, bro.
Y'all have a wonderful week. Remember, it's not your fault. You are an incredible person, and you're going to change the world one day at a time. It's all that we're all doing, right? Hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Deuces.
That was another awesome episode of the Storytime podcast. Thank y'all for sticking around for this long, but I got a question for you. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? See, when I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions, like how do I record an episode? How do I get my show to apps? Like, do I have to do it individually, or can I just have one place that does everything for me? And most importantly, how do I make money from my podcast? Is that even an option? Well, honestly, y'all, your answer is Anchor. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it is 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors that want to advertise on your podcast. Yes, you. That means you can get paid to make the podcast. You can get paid to podcast the right way. In fact, that's exactly what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. If you want to get in on this, if you want to make your podcast a reality and you want your success and your word to be a thing, man, you already know. Hop over to Anchor and give it a start. You won't regret it. Catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.
I am excited to bring you my new book, Trendsetter, 7 Steps to Radically Stand Out to Be the Best You. This book details my journey of coming to the United States and being excited to embrace the American culture. But unfortunately, my culture was not accepted, and I found myself being bullied as a young girl. And in this process, I decided that I wanted to disconnect from my culture to be more accepted into American culture. And through that process, I got so depressed from trying to fit in that I attempted suicide my freshman year in high school. So this book talks about the journey of what I did to become radically transformed to be the strong woman I am today. This book is something that's really going to enable the reader to understand and embrace who they are, embrace what makes them special, and become radically transformed. Get your copy today at becomingatrendsetter.com. Again, that is becomingatrendsetter.com, or check it out at my website at aishathomas.org.